Welcome to the channel, everybody. Appreciate you guys coming back, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. We have something very special today. I'm going to take you guys to the Roger Patterson Bob Gimlin Bigfoot encounter location that occurred in 1967. Now I take you there showing you with Google Earth, but the great thing about this video, guys, is I've gotten permission from the Sasquatch archives, Todd Prescott himself, to use some rare audio from Roger Patterson right before he passed away. He talked about the incident. I also have some audio from Bob Gimlin a few years ago where he talks about the incident. And on top of that, I also have some footage by M.K. Davis. Now if you guys don't know who M.K. Davis is, he takes all this footage and he hits it with filters and enhancements, so make sure you guys check both of them out. The Sasquatch archives has tons of old classic encounters and interviews, things like that, so if you like the old Bigfoot encounters and stories, make sure you check him out. Todd Prescott at Sasquatch Archives. Alright, let's get to this.
I'm Bob Gimlin. Was there? Yes, I was backing Roger Patterson up all the time. We were called down there with 3 different footprints, 3 different size of footprints around a piece of equipment. And by the time we got, this was Labor Day weekend, and by the time I got down there, or we got down there, there'd been so many humans that come up and walked around and disturbed the tracks, plus it rained also. And so there was no real good footprints for casts or anything. So that's why we kind of stayed and just started riding in big circles. Well, not really circles, just wherever we could go, you know. And we'd usually cover about 25 miles a day, riding through the mountains in different locations. That's why we had decided to travel further, way on back, a lot further back, and look for more evidence, because we hadn't found anything in a month. We'd been riding for a month and hadn't located anything. Well, he had the camera up, working with it. I was riding back of him. It was a Saturday, sunshiny, bright fall day, October 20th, to be exact. And it was just a warm, sunshiny day, and we were just riding up alongside the creek, on the east side of the creek. And about 4 miles from where we were camped, Roger was just riding. Roger was riding in front of me. We were basically going out to camp about 40 miles further out than we'd been riding. And so we were going to go on out, so we had a pack horse with us, a small pack horse. And when we were just riding up the creek bed, and Roger was taking pictures of the beautiful colors, of the fall colors of the trees and the brush and all of that. And all at once, when we come around a bend in the creek, boom, there's one standing across the creek. So things started happening dramatically fast.
All right, now that was Bob Gimlin leading up to the event here. So what I'm going to do now is add the audio, which the Sasquatch Archives has provided me. So after that, I'm going to finish up with the rest of the Bob Gimlin giving his perspective and his point of view. So let's get to it.
We were about, I guess 3 miles, something like that, from our main camp. We had rounded a bend in the trail. The creek was coming down this canyon, and the wind was blowing down the canyon. So that I think this is probably the reason that we come upon this thing without us knowing we were coming. The first thing I knew, my horse stopped, and I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and then my horse kind of jumped backwards and reared with me. And as he did so, I pulled on him, and I pulled a little bit too hard, and we both went to the ground. I was able to get up and get a hold of him and get in my saddlebags and get my camera out, and I turned him loose, yelled to Bob to cover me. At the time that I had got up and went around the horse and held his held the reins, I looked over to my left and seen the thing, and then it was about 120 feet fairly close. It was standing by the edge of the creek. I felt that it was kneeling when we first seen it, and it didn't appear to be as big as what it did because I just caught a glimpse. It could have even been a bear, the first glimpse that I got. It turned and walked up the bank and then turned around again and looked directly at us before it got up to the top of this bank. We were able to get, at that point, I wasn't actually looking through the camera. I had just was glancing at it and getting it out of my bag. At that point, I yelled to Bob to cover me, which he turned loose the pack horse, and I turned loose my horse because he was fighting me kind of, and Bob had a 30-06, and his horse wasn't giving him much trouble, and so then I started taking pictures of the thing because it didn't appear to be aggressive. It was going the other direction, or at pretty much of a direction away from us, and I ran some of the way and had to run down through the creek up on the other side of the bank, and that's when I got the best pictures of the thing. We didn't immediately follow it. Bob started, I yelled at him to come back. I was out of film. There had been these other 3 sets of tracks found, and this appeared to be a female. I felt that possibly a big male could be right in the vicinity, and that I was standing there without any weapon at all, and this didn't set too good with me. So he come back. We went at that point and got my horse. He'd run down the trail there about half a mile or so, and come back up, load the camera up, went after the thing. The creek, it followed the creek quite a little ways, and at that particular place up there, there's quite a iron deposit in this creek. Wherever you step, it breaks this, and actually, leaves practically a print right down the bottom of the creek. And it went up one of these side tributaries, and the same thing in those. So we followed it for, like I say, 3 miles. The last half a mile on foot. It got so dense that we felt that if the thing was going to ambush us, circle back around or something, if it wanted to, it could. So we come back out and decided to go down in the valley, see if we could get dogs, and come up for the next day. This we done, and the next morning it began to rain, and it rained in there for quite a little while and washed things out real badly. I felt we was lucky to get what we got at that particular time. I suppose that in the Northwest, myself and DeHenden and Green know as much about these things as anybody, but yet we know very little. We haven't got one, and even if we had one, we'd still know very little about their wild habits. I actually think that, it's always, hard to believe something close to home, and we found that the film was shown this year in quite a number of areas, and we actually found that I think we had a better reception the further we got away from this area.
Okay, so that was Roger Patterson's experience with the Bigfoot incident. Now we're going to pick it up with Bob Gimlin, right when they turned the corner and they first saw the Bigfoot. So let's get to it.
And of course, Roger's horse just went berserk. Well, mine did too, but I was able to stay on him. I was a pretty good rider, and I stayed on my horse, and Roger finally, he didn't get actually dumped off his horse, but he got a little help getting off, and he grabbed the saddle bag cover, one flap that he had it on there, and unflapped it and got the camera out and started running across the creek, taking the picture. And he stumbled. It had a kind of a bank on the far side, and so Roger had had the camera up to his eye, of course, and he kind of stumbled and fell down on his elbows, and he wasn't really sure if he got sand or whatever in the camera, because this is all happening really, really fast and excited. Well, the feeling, oh my God, yes, I remember the feeling. It was just, yes, they really do exist. You know, because I was kind of down the middle of the road. There were so many testimonials that Roger played to me about different folks that had seen them and witnessed tree knocks and tree bent limbs and stuff, and that I was kind of on the idea that, yeah, there probably is something. That's why I went down to see these footprints. That's why I did all the work that I did to get down there to see the footprints, and then they were all disturbed and ruined. And that's the other reason why we decided to stay and ride and look for more evidence. Is that was the only reason. And so to be able to run onto one, it was like, oh, God, there is one. And she's walking away, and I'm trying to hold my horse and stay on my horse until I did ride across the creek and stepped down off the horse, and she turned and made a head turn towards when I rode across the creek, and she was about 200 feet from me at that time, and just made that one turn and never even slowed down. I had a rifle, and I knew I couldn't shoot if I had to shoot sitting on the horse jumping around. So I pulled the rifle out of the scabbard when I come down on the ground, and I never did raise it up to the shoulder or anything as long as it was walking away. And so there's been a lot of ridicule about, yeah, Bob had his rifle and all of that, ready to shoot it. I wasn't ready to shoot it. I just wanted to make sure if I had to, I could get a shot. And so there's a big difference between that and me raising the rifle up to shoot at it. I hunted big game all the years before that. I shot a lot of elk and deer and bear, and I was an excellent shot. Bill Munns has proven the height over the years of a lot of study of measuring different things and taking the footprints and measuring out. She was 7'3" 3/4 inches tall. So that's pretty good size, because I was up on top of a 16-hand horse when I first saw her. So when they asked me, I said, oh, she was probably a little over 6 foot tall and massive muscle, you know, just bulk muscle. So I was way off as far, and they said, well, what do you think she weighed? And I said, oh, 300 pounds or more. Well, that would have been light. She probably weighed closer to 800 pounds. You know, knowing what I know now and all the evidence that was presented about it afterwards. You know, a person will I made a lot of mistakes about different things that they asked me when they first saw the film and then asked me about the film. Yeah, I said, oh, 6 foot or a little over 6 foot. Well, but when I got down on the ground, it was a different story. I mean, but she was a little ways away from me then, and kind of, you can see she's kind of in a slouch position, kind of not really standing up straight. Or I guess that's about as straight as she walked all the time. But when she was just standing alongside the creek, she looked pretty doggone tall. But you know, you got to be careful when you make statements, because then they hold you to it all the rest of your life. And you say, well, hey, you know, it all happened so dramatically fast that I didn't have time to think about a lot of things, because I hadn't planned on seeing one. And seeing one just was boom, 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 boom. And, you know, and so therefore it was pretty dramatic. Now, when I first saw the film footage, I thought, that's nothing. That, you don't, guy, he never really got anything that was good, because I was looking at it through two blue eyes, and Roger was with the camera, and the film footage that he got was, well, I finally decided that it's pretty good. But the first time I saw it, I said, that's nothing. That's nothing. I saw so much more of everything, of the muscle movement, and I was looking at it all the time. Roger had to relocate 2 or 3 different times to get a little closer. And well, that's why I rode across the creek and took the rifle out of the scabbard, just because he said, well, Bob, can you cover me while I go and get in another area? Because he wasn't sure that it was all alone either. He didn't know whether the other two, because there was 3 different size footprints, whether the other 2 was there somewhere around. And there's been so much question about, do you feel that there was a young one, or, well, we never know, because there were 3 different sizes of footprints, and this was only about 3 miles from where the footprints were. And it indicated that there was a male, a female, and a youth. So, being we only saw, well, I didn't realize it was a female at the time I saw it. I didn't know the difference. But being we saw one, the possibility that there was the other 2 up in the woods somewhere around. And maybe that's why she walked away and did the things that she did. It would be like she might be doing something to detour us away from the other 2, or she might be traveling to where they were. I said, I know they exist. And I say, you know, there's no question. They say, well, is there a little bit of question? Is there a question whether you could have been fooled? I said, no way. No way. Well, we were 36 miles back in the woods. I'll never forget that few seconds that I did get to see her. It'll be with me the rest of my life.
Okay, so I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of something here. Google Earth Maps clearly has this labeled wrong. Now, I was pointed in the right direction by Steven at Bigfoot Books blog and the wonderful people at Bluff Creek Project blog. So you guys make sure you guys go check them out. If you guys like this story, they have tons of videos, maps, articles, the whole 9 yards. So if you guys want to study this encounter in depth, you guys make sure you go check out that website, and I'll leave the link in the description. Also, that amazing footage of those tracks, that was actual tracks of the Bigfoot sighting. Now that was courtesy of Mr. Munn. He's a very, very well-renowned, respected, long-time Bigfoot investigator. So we're really appreciative of that also, Mr. Munn. Thank you so much. Now, I want to get into the Bigfoot here. I want to point something out that maybe somebody, I don't know, maybe you guys have noticed, but has anybody ever talked about the back of the Bigfoot, how the hair, everybody talks about the fur on the side, how the arm has rubbed away the fur on the side. But what about on the back and going over the left shoulder? You know what that looks like to me? And you guys leave me comments below and let me know what you guys think. It looks like that's where she has been carrying a young Sasquatch baby. Right? Can you guys see where the 2 legs would go wrap around there, and the arms, and maybe this baby always has its head over on her shoulder? I just noticed that. That's something Really interesting. Also, anybody that thinks that this is fake, do you think in 1967 they could come up with a costume like this? Do you see the breast on this thing? Like in 1967, I don't even think the Planet of the Apes costumes included breasts. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. This is something else. Alright, what we got coming up next is I'm going to give you some local images with some music, so you guys stay tuned. So there you have it, the classic Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot location, shown to you with Google Earth. Now I think I'm the very first person to make a video like this showing the actual location in the video. Clearly people know where the location is, that's not what I'm trying to say, but as far as video goes, I don't think anybody's made one like this. And once again, I have to give credit for that amazing audio interview provided by the Sasquatch Archives and Todd Prescott, and that amazing enhanced footage that M.K. Davis has. Unbelievable. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who those two are, but for those that don't, I cannot recommend enough for you guys to go see their channels. And the first thing you do is you subscribe. Second thing you do is you watch all their videos and hit like on all their videos. Third thing you do is leave them a comment, let them know you heard about them from me. I would really appreciate that. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed making this one. This is such a classic location that I really had to give it to you guys. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Plenty of these videos coming. Hope you guys liked it. Remember, until next time, where there's a WILLSTAR, there is a way. We'll see you guys later.